Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey friends, welcome back. We're looking at Psalm 132 today, verses 6 and 7, and you're riding the solar barge, navigating the universe on Daily Dose Radio. And if I get through verses 6 and 7 today in 5 minutes, it will be a miracle. There's so much here. Oh my word. We have a lot to talk about. I'm going to read you my translation, and then we'll just jump right in. Verse 6, Behold, we heard about it in Ephratah. We found it in the field of Yair. We came to his tabernacles. We worshipped at his footstool. Now that's verses 6 and 7. You'll notice there's some place names here, which I get a little carried away on. I know I do with place names, but it's so important because the material in the Psalter is so rich. I mean, it gives us so much information, and because it's done poetically and because it's done redundantly, it gives us extra information that we might not normally have. So putting all this together, we heard about it in Ephratah. What is he talking about? Well, David gives us his humility of soul. He's not going to give sleep to his eyes. He's not going to go to his bed. None of that until he finds a place for the Lord. This is his oath. In verse 2, he swore to the Lord and he vowed a vow. Now in verse 6, we're going to find out what happened. This is not the oath now. This is a recounting of what happened in David's day. So you go back to 1 Samuel chapter 7, the ark had been returned by the Philistines. Remember, after the time of Eli and Samuel, the ark went off to the Philistines. They returned it, and it ended up in a city in Judah called Kiriath Jearim. Kiriath Jearim is in Judah, so it's in the south of the country. Let me give you a little history about that place. Caleb married a lady by the name of Ephratah, and Ephratah had a son named Shobal, and Shobal was the father of Kiriath Jearim, the city in Judah. That's also the place where the Gibeonites are from. So it's an ancient locale, it's a Canaanite city, and the word Kiriath means city, and it's an ancient place name. So when he says we heard about it in Ephratah, that is a word that's used for that locale because that's a famous person, and it's also a region, and the city of Kiriath Jearim would be in that region because that's Caleb's wife's name. And of course, we know that that name is used for that area, and Bethlehem even is connected with Ephratah. We found it in the field of Yair. The field of Yair is a poetic name for Kiriath Jearim, which means the literal translation of the name means city of forests, and Yair is Hebrew for wooded place. So the field of Yair is the same as saying Kiriath Jearim. So we found it. So what is the it there? We heard about it. We found it in the field or the city of the wood. The it is the ark, because that's where the ark had gone. And for 20 years, Israel was without the ark, and they mourned after the Lord because they had no place to go for the oracle. They could go to the tabernacle, but there was no ark there. And for 20 years, you can imagine their mourning because there's no place for them to do that once-a-year sacrifice for the sin of the nation, because the blood had to be sprinkled upon the mercy seat. Well, the mercy seat's not at the tabernacle. It's down in this little city in the south of Judah. We came to his tabernacles. So David and his men went to this city, and they took the ark from it, and they won't go through the whole story, but eventually they got it back to Jerusalem. And remember that David had built a tabernacle just for the ark, and we worshipped at his footstool. And once they had put the ark in place, they had a great feast and worship time, and David blessed all the people with food and sent them to their homes. So these two verses give us in a snapshot all that happened beginning in 1 Samuel chapter 7, them going down to this city in Judah, taking the ark, going back to Jerusalem with the ark, putting it in the tabernacle that David had created for it, and worshiping there at his footstool, which is another word for his ark. Okay, tomorrow we'll do verses 8 and 9, so please join me on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.